Well, good afternoon, everybody. Barely, about 12:15. Today I'm going to go over some advising degree requirements. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Austin Lord. I am one of the academic advisors for the college. The newest one, I started here as an intern. I kind of made my way through all the different possible areas of being staff until they made me real staff about almost 2 years ago, actually. And so I'm just going to spend some time with you guys today to talk about the basics of what a degree is made of, not necessarily anything specific to any one major or not too much of that, but just mostly what we can expect from a bachelor's degree here at Fresno State. So first, I want to go over the makeup of a degree. They are made of, obviously, units. Everybody should be familiar with units and how you're awarded units for taking courses, and it's 120 units specifically to earn a bachelor's. So this is broken down, as that pie chart shows, into a couple different areas. First is major and additional major requirements. So these are classes that are not only, exactly what you're, hoping to study, which is, maybe biology or chemistry or computer science or math. There are also the additional courses that go with those classes and supplement those classes, and there may be prerequisites for those classes. So for bio majors, it may be some chemistry classes. For science majors, it may be some math classes. For chemistry majors, it may be some physics classes. So they're not directly related to, exactly what your degree maybe is made up of, but they are courses that get you to those classes. There's also general education. Of course, everybody should be pretty familiar with that. Most of you have most of it done already, I would say. And so there are 49 units total of general education. That's the lower division and upper division, which I'll cover in just a moment. And then the elective units vary depending on your major, depending how many units you currently have, how many you need. But essentially the elective units are just to get you to 120 units. So maybe you aren't quite there yet. Between the GE classes, the major classes, it all adds up to maybe 116 units. So you need 4 units of electives to get you all the way to 120. Now that can be, more courses just, in your major, maybe, more things that are interesting to you that you wish to study. And they can be fun classes. I mean, I personally took, weight training and fencing and walking. No kidding. I took a 1-unit walking class. So things like that. People ask me sometimes, can I see the list of electives? I'm like, it's the whole catalog. It's anything that you want to take that you aren't already using to fulfill another requirement. Speaking of requirements, there's some other degree requirements that are separate or kind of related to units and general education, things like that. First one is the English and composition requirement. Everybody does have to fulfill some sort of English writing class. We do take AP credit for this as well. And again, pretty much everybody should have this class done in order to even transfer here. So this one should be good. US history is another requirement. Everybody does have to have at least one US history course. Again, AP US counts. There are some of you out there who do not have this, and so I did recommend it for you. So just keep an eye on that. Same with the government, the US and California Constitution or federal, state, and local government requirement. For this reason, for hitting all those different levels, state, federal, and local, we don't take AP government. There might be a couple of you out there that have a recommendation to take a poli-sci 102 or 103. What that is just a little 1-unit supplement to get you what AP Gov doesn't cover. So if you were using AP Gov at a community college maybe, and they were happy with it, but now at Fresno State we do require, I believe it's the local government requirement that maybe you'd be missing. You can supplement it with a poli-sci 102, or you can just take the poli-sci 2 class over again. So we may have referenced either of those classes. Multicultural international requirement and the upper division writing requirement we will touch on their own slides a little bit later. Multicultural international is kind of like an upper division GE course, and the upper division writing requirement is either passing an exam or a W course, a writing course, with a C or better in order to show that by the time you graduate, you can write at a college level. Those last 2 little bullet points down there, 70 units maximum are allowed from a California community college. So some of you out there may have taken more than that. You may have taken 75, 80, 90 units maybe at a local community college. And that's fine. And you actually still get credit in all of those, in all the courses and all the credit. But you only get 70 units applied towards your 120. It's kind of weird, but if you see something cut off at 70 and you have more, that's why. This rule does not apply to 4-year institutions. So let's say you came from another CSU or a UC or somewhere out of state. I've seen people show up with 100 plus units, and maybe they have 70 from a community college and 30 from a UC, and then they have 100 by the time they get here. So the units are a little weird. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us and we'll kind of break it down for you too. So next I want to move on to general education. The ones that you should already have, the ones that you'll need here, things like that. On the left side of the screen there, you do see the 2020 general education requirement sheet for Fresno State. A lot of you should be familiar with some sort of sheet like this already. This is our version of it. The first box there, the first four areas or first four classes in area A and also B4. That's called the foundation. You'll also probably hear Golden 4 a lot. And so that's the oral communication, written communication, which is that English requirement, critical thinking, and quantitative reasoning, which is math. Again, these usually are required for transfer. We may have a couple people out there missing maybe one of the classes in here, in which case we've brought that up. The next area is breadth, and that's the kind of middle half of the sheet. Underneath the dark blue line there, we've got the upper division GE classes. So I've said this before now, lower division, upper division, maybe not everybody's super clear on that. So I'll kind of, highlight what each of those means. So lower division, usually I kind of, reference as kind of like freshman, sophomore level, and upper division to junior, senior level. It's not always quite that clean cut, but that's kind of the distinction there. And the numbering here at Fresno State, at least 1 through 99, so double digits at most, is lower division, and 100 through 199 is upper division. And so that's how we kind of keep them, keep them apart and kind of tell which one's which. So for the lower division areas, again, most of you have most of this done already, but it's, select one course from each sub area. AP credit can clear these. You must complete most of them before coming here to Fresno State. We'll talk about it, but maybe not everybody has all of these, and that can maybe get in the way of some of the upper division GE. So we do prioritize getting those lower division GE done ASAP. Now, the upper division, there are 3 courses, and people don't always know that they do have to take more GE courses once they get here, and so those are that lower part of the sheet there, those other boxes, or that other box. So we'll go ahead and zoom in on those and cover in more detail what the upper division areas are. Oh, in a moment, sorry. Next, we're going to go to calculus. So to kind of hit on this requirement for a little bit. So everybody in these majors does have to take some sort of calculus class. And there are different classes, there are different ways to get into calculus. So this is going to be a pretty important couple slides to pay attention to, so you do know how you are, what your goal is, how you are, what your track is to get into these calculus classes. First class is Math 70. That is for bio majors only, and that's not recommended for pre-health professions, med schools, dental schools, pharmacy schools, things like that. Not usually a huge fan of this class, so we don't recommend this one too much. And so I'm not going to hit on 70 too much. But the other 2 options, Math 75 and Math 75 A and B. Math 75 is just Calculus 1, full theory-based Calc 1 class. 75 A and B is that same material, just stretched out over a full year. So the prereqs are similar, but the bar to entry for 75A is a little bit lower than it is for 75, because you are going to have, again, more time to kind of focus on all the content. If you're not ready to enroll in these calculus classes, we do recommend something like Math 5, Math 6, a trig class, a pre-calc class, something, kind of just one step before calculus, just to kind of refresh things. Maybe it's been a while since you've taken math. Maybe you've never taken a trig or pre-calc class before. These are the areas that we kind of have you hit on before you go into calculus. And also, it's kind of nice to use those as a placeholder class right now. Like today, when you register 2 o'clock, maybe you don't have the score on your record to get into a Math 75 class right now, so you take a Math 6 instead. You just put it in your schedule. You save. You have 4 units in there. It's a Math 6 class for right now. Later, you can swap it for Math 75, and that way, depending on the how you do on the test, maybe then you're already in the correct class for Math 6. And so I keep referencing this test, so I'll kind of explain the ALEX placement test. It's this online way of kind of placing people in math classes. So it does require a certain minimum score. This score does go in your account and allows you into whichever class up to, whichever score you get. People who are exempt from testing maybe have AP credit in calculus or an A or B grade in calculus in their high school. But again, pre-health schools, professional schools don't tend to like AP credit either. They do want to see a university level calculus class. And if you are one of those people that does have an A or B in high school calculus, even if it wasn't like AP and don't have a test score, even if you took calculus, you did well in it, you can go ahead and contact us at arc@csufresno.edu, your name, your ID, and a copy of your transcript. And we can work on getting you into a calculus class that way without the test. So going back to the test. So we do have this link on here, so this is a good one to take a screenshot of. And this will take you to the math department website that has all the information on the ALEKS test. This will tell you what the scores that you need, how to log in, what the password is, and the code to get on the website. And so you'll use this ALEKS site. You'll do a little tutorial and then a little kind of assessment to kind of see where you're at, just kind of get a baseline. And then you'll work on practice problems in the different areas of math in order to kind of get yourself warmed up for calculus. Eventually, after you put in a couple hours, maybe of practice on ALEKS, you'll take the official test. And once you get a score from that, then which calculus class you can get into. So the sooner you can work through ALEKS, the sooner you can get into these calculus classes. So it is something, I hate to be giving you guys homework already, I guess, but it is something, relatively soon that you should be, probably working through. If you're going to be taking calculus this first semester, especially, if that was a recommendation we made, then we did also note on there that, you'll need to get an ALEKS score or something. So again, make sure you get that link written down and, or, take a screenshot of it, and it'll take you to the math website. And now we will jump back to general education. So the upper division GE, so I just kind of zoomed in on that box at the bottom of the GE sheet. And now you can hopefully read it. And the three areas in integration are IB, IC, and ID. And if you notice, those kind of match up with the lower division areas of general education, the lower division B, lower division C, lower division D, and they even have the same titles, the science area, the arts and humanities area, the social science area, they all kind of match up. So what these are, again, they are the upper division versions of, of these areas of general education. And therefore the requirement to get into each one is your foundation, which again is the golden four, right? The comm, English, critical thinking, and math class, as well as that lower division general ed area. So you have to have kind of all the precursors in already before you can get into the upper division area. So you can see it says for IB, prerequisite completion of foundation area B, IC, foundation in area C, ID, foundation area D. Then underneath that box, we do have the multicultural international courses. They are not technically GE anymore. If you have friends maybe that started here a couple years before you, maybe pre-2018, they may talk about their MI, GE classes. You're like, what? Like that's not on the GE sheet. It was a wording change essentially in 2018. Everybody does still have to do the multicultural international area. And so my understanding is they do still enforce essentially the GE prereq on the MI courses, which is foundation in area D. So just like the social science area, it would require your foundation GE and your lower division area D courses. So why do I talk about all this so much? You're like, yeah, general ed, I get it. Well, not everybody, again, may have all areas of general ed completed, and we may be, maybe we're waiting on a transcript, maybe some stuff's in progress that's, not posted yet. And so maybe you have a little bit of trouble getting into some of these classes right now. If maybe that is your situation, again, we went through your records, we sent you that email that does recommend, what you are, kind of okay to enroll in today. And we did try and kind of pick out like, ooh, maybe you can't get into area C because we're waiting on, one more humanities class. So maybe try for IB and ID today, stuff like that. So keep an eye on that. And, again, if you do need lower division courses, we did point out, there were a couple of you where maybe, again, the history or an arts class or something like that. That's why we do prioritize those lower divisions soon so you can get into the upper divisions sooner as well. So I think that's pretty much it for the upper division GE, but I will kind of tie it back with the upper division writing skill. So I mentioned this earlier, you can fulfill this requirement with a test, but unfortunately the test is not being offered right now because that is offered on campus and we're all, distancing right now. So right now we're just focusing on the course course-based way of fulfilling this, which is taking a W course or writing course. The W at the end is what signifies it's, for this writing requirement. And you have to earn a C or credit in one of those courses. For the geology, environmental science majors out there, I know there's a handful of you, your EES 104 class, which is part of your major, already fulfills that requirement. So kind of don't have to worry about trying to find one of these on your own. It's just kind of built in, you already do it. But for everybody else out there, I do like to point out these two that double count. It's everybody's favorite word. So Anthropology 116W double counts in the upper division GE area ID, and Anthropology 105W double counts in the multicultural international area. Obviously, because of this, they do fill up very quickly every registration period. So I wouldn't expect to find any of those open for the fall, but just something to keep in mind. Maybe next semester, when we're enrolling in spring, maybe something to look forward to. Try and get one of those to double count. If not, I do have a whole box down there of all the different writing courses. And there are tons of other fun classes as well. Everybody loves Earth Environmental Science 135W, that's dinosaurs. There's a new one that's Asian American foodways or something like that. There's a Sociology 130W, which is kind of a social justice-based class. There's English 160W, which if you're trying to get into a med school or a program similar to that, and you need maybe a second, English composition class to get in, a lot of those do require 2 English courses. Again, the English 160W is a good way to fulfill that. So definitely worth looking through that list. And if you look at the video that we sent you in the email, I did actually go through how to search for these classes specifically. Instead of typing in one at a time, every single abbreviation and number, you can just search for this whole area at once. Same with the upper division GE. So again, please check that email that we sent you. It does have a YouTube video linked in there where I kind of go over this. It takes about 2 minutes to watch, but I'm basically going to walk you through the whole way of finding these classes, of all the different types, and adding classes. So it should make today a little bit easier for 2 minutes of your time.